everybody, it's Cinnamon Cootie, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to tell you everything a beginner needs to know to understand and read a color wheel. Now, a color wheel is a physical representation of a concept based on color, like the spectrum of color, like we think of in Newtonian color. Believe it or not, didn't just discover gravity, also discovered the refraction and separation of color and prisms and all that. So we're going to go over how we use the color wheel. It's kind of a metaphor where it works for us as artists, where it can cause us some trouble because it tells us things that aren't true, like red and blue make purple. They do, but not always, and how to know where that might not be working on the color wheel. Everything you just need to know to be able to use this tool right now today in your studio, even if you've never painted before. So let's get our color wheel and I'm going to show you how to read it. So how do we use a wheel? We all are familiar with that, aren't we? We pick it up and then we drive over to the warm colors, over to the cool colors, contrasting colors, and we've all crashed. Or we read it. Actually, this is a really fun tool. Don't click away. This is a really fun tool. And it helps artists quite a great deal because it visually represents color in a way that relates to our tools, which are pigments, right? And this works really in any sort of additive color theory that we want to do. If we want to do quilting or if we wanted to do design, the wheel can really help us understand core concepts. So the basic function of the wheel, and I'll get it upside up again. Sometimes it takes a minute to get it upside up. Generally, we like to read the wheel with our yellow up and our violet at the bottom, right? So that helps us divide the wheel into our warm colors, which are over here, yellow, oranges, reds, red violets, to our cool colors, which are over here, our greens, our blue greens, and our blues. So kind of like fire versus ice is how we conceptualize those. Now, this color wheel, it's got a lot of stuff and it tells you so much information. And look at this here. It lets you know exactly where your dividing line is. If you're uncool, it's like cool colors, warm colors, cool colors, warm colors. So here is the wheel, and we all know what to do with the wheel. We drive it, right? We go to the warm colors and to the cool colors and crashing. I didn't play a lot of racing games, so bear with me. But no, this is very serious, and hang in with me because this tool is worth your time and consideration. Now, this color wheel is set up in a very smart way. There's a few color wheels that are like this. This style is my favorite because it's packed with a lot of quick to sight information. The first being that the pure colors out here, right, are put on the outside where you can see them. It also gives you a little guide here in case you were unsure how to orient your wheel. And if you are unclear on warm colors, which are over here, a yellow, orange, red, and red, violet, and then over here, cool colors, it also tells you where on the wheel that division is. So if just in the moment you can't remember, that information is on this quick visual guide. So your cool colors, right, are yellow, green, blue, blue, violet, and violet. Right? It gives you some more really fun information. On this outer edge, it tells you a very important bit of color information, which is grayscale. That is how light or dark it is on a grayscale of shades 1 through 10. Not 50 shades, just 1 through 10 is all we have to worry about as artists. And so you can go around on the wheel if you want to have sort of a sense of how dark is that color, and you can find, oh, is this gray significantly lighter, or are these two about the same, right? And what you'll recognize is that your eyes, strangely, are able to evaluate the value, how light or dark something is, right, of the color wheel. So it gives you that fantastic information. It also tells you something very important. It tells you what happens when you do some very important things to the color. It tells you what happens to yellow-orange if you add red. It tells you what happens to yellow if you add yellow, and it tells you what happens to yellow-green if you add blue. It also tells you what happens if you add white and if you add black. So you can literally go around the wheel and discover what adding a color to another color would essentially do. It estimates that for you. So if you're trying to say, how do I make brown if I don't have brown on my palette? the color wheel answers that for you every time a color mix red and green would make a brown. It will tell you, and it gives you a very good idea of what that brown is. It'll tell you what would happen if you added yellow or blue, but it lets you know how to get to the color. Another important thing is that it has basic and core definitions. It tells you, one, how to use it just in case you weren't clear. It gives you definitions. It tells you what the primary colors are, red, yellow, and blue, and it tells you a fact about them that you need to know. Can't be mixed from other colors. Mostly true. I actually have a couple of videos that sort of show you a workaround for that, where you can create a hue that looks like a primary that you mix from secondaries. Fun color theory stuff. But for the most part, for most of your life, true. Secondary colors, it tells you that it's two primary colors like yellow and blue mixed together. See how in between them is green? It tells you what those are, and it gives them to you here with the exact names it has on the wheel. So if you're like, wait, what does blue and yellow make? It tells you green, and you can just find green and you can go, oh, that's what it makes. It lets you know what tertiary or intermediate colors are, which is when you take a primary color like blue and you mix it into a secondary color green, you get the blue-green. It tells you what those would be. So it really gives you a good visual cue to a lot of just basic core information that, believe it or not, I answer questions on YouTube all day about. Like, how do I make brown? How do I lighten or darken a color? It gives you some stuff. Now, there are weird examples where that might not be true, because sometimes a blue and a red won't make a violet like you expect, because they have a bias of another color. In other words, they're maybe more of a red-orange, right, than a red. And so when you mix them with a blue that had kind of a green hue to it, like a phthalo, those two together is actually going to give you more of a brown unexpectedly, or a muted color. So that's why sometimes the color wheel feels like tricky to people, because they're like, but I mixed red and blue, like the wheel said, and I didn't get purple. And that's part of what this course is about. Now, the other important thing on the wheel I want you to get into is the back. Now, the back tells you some very important things. It tells you what happens when you mix pure color to a tint, a tone, or shade. So if you didn't want to, we're going to do activities where we do that in real time, because I think hands-on experience matters. But after this course, if you're like, wait, what's my tint, tone, and shade for that? It's right here. This gives you an idea of where your color mixes, your color schemes are, like your complementary colors, your split complementaries, your triadic, and your tetrad colors. So there's a lot to know on the wheel. It tells you, and it also gives you more color terms that you might need to know, like pure color. It gives you monochromatic, analogous, anachromatic. It tells you all of these things. Color and distance. Distant causes receding cool colors to black out. Consequently, lighting values of colors should be employed for greater emphasis. If you're like, how do I push those blue mountains back? It just told you. It tells you stuff that, yeah, as you paint a lot, you will start to organically and naturally know, but it gives you the reasons why. And it gives you these core terms. This is something that I think in your world would make a big difference. Now, do I use a color wheel? Yeah. Yeah, this is a well-used pocket wheel. Because I don't, I don't always have time to have a really big one, and they make a pocket wheel. They also make some little travel ones. It's extraordinary what's out there. And, the Color Wheel Company has a bunch of good color wheels. You can find them available to you on my website, and just online in general. So like wherever you wanted to get them, you can get them from me, but you can get them from a variety of places. And we even have some stuff where we hand make color wheels. It's a lot of fun. And there's a way to even use this to figure out like what blue is my blue on my wheel for my paint. So wholly wonderful tool. And that is how you would read it. You would go through following the very simple instructions, turning your little windows. You want to know what the complement to red orange is? Well, we know it's blue green, and we know that, right? Because if we come here to red orange, on this side, it tells us the complement. Now I have that memorized. I know that's opposite on the color wheel. So fun stuff. Look, you've got what would adding red to blue green do? if you needed to know, it would tell you what that would do. Guys, I love sharing just basic material. Let me know if you like the video, other questions you have about color, because even with this big mega course that I've planned, maybe there's a concept or an idea that I haven't answered. So be sure and communicate with me in those comments down below. If you don't want to miss the next video, hit the subscribe button. If you want to see more about the course, go down and check out the description and our website, theartsherpa.com. Remember, I'm always here to help you. Color is really fun. It's actually, once you get familiar with it, not intimidating at all. So I hope I've kind of invited you into a really cool artist tool that's actually super helpful in your studio. Okay, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and I want to see you at a color wheel real soon. Bye-bye.